Assalamualaikum, Madam Fazidah. We are from Group Disconnected, and today we are going to present about our ransomware. We are going to present five ransomwares, and they are Lokagoga, WannaCry, Bad Rabbit, Loki, and Duke. The first ransomware that we are going to talk for today is Lokagoga ransomware. How is it done? What is the method used? The initial infection was thought to be a phishing attack, but seems like a less likely scenario, as no phishing emails have been reported, said Alan Liska, threat intel analyst with Recorded Future. It is likely some form of remote access, such as an open RDP server. Once the ransomware has been downloaded onto the system, the malware will relocate itself into a temporary folder and rename itself using the command line. Then, it will encrypt files stored on systems such as desktops, laptops, and also servers. After it has finished encrypt the file, it will create a README file. Through this README file, they ask for payment and it has to be made in Bitcoin. And for clarification, the victim can send two files to be decrypted by the hacker. For the later version of Lokagoga, the users will be locked off from the system and also their password will be changed. So this README file cannot even be read, and the later version of Lokagoga is more destructive rather than disruptive. That is all from Lokagoga.
Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is Batrisyia. Today I'm going to present about WannaCry. WannaCry is a crypto ransomware that are used by cybercriminals to gain money in the form of Bitcoin. In May 2017, WannaCry attack was found to be rapidly spread across the globe with total loss of almost 4 billion USD, including the National Health Service across the United Kingdom. The WannaCry attack used Eternal Blue, which is a cyber attack exploit developed by the US National Security Agency. They discovered the vulnerability of Windows operating system's implementation of SMB, which is the server message block, which are used to execute arbitrary code on a computer. Eternal Blue allowed WannaCry attack to spread with double pulsar, which gives cybercriminals high-level control over a computer as its backdoor. It arrives in the computer in the form of a dropper with three application components, which are an application that encrypts and decrypts data, files containing encryption keys, and a copy of Tor. Once it is launched, it will try to access hard-coded complex URL, which is actually believed to make the analysis of the attack more complex. If it succeeds, it will shut itself down. However, if it fails, it will search for valuable files in the computer, a hard drive, and encrypts them so it is unreadable, or it will lock users out of their system. Once files are encrypted, a ransom notice will be displayed, demanding for a certain amount of Bitcoin in order to decrypt back the files. However, in most cases, the probability for the files to be decrypted back is low, even if the infected organization cave in and give them the money. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Badrul and today I'll be explaining a bit about the Bad Rabbit ransomware. So the Bad Rabbit ransomware disguises itself as an Adobe Flash Player update, and if the victim accepts the so-called update, the Bad Rabbit will then begin to encrypt hard-coded credentials from the victim's computer. So there is a screenshot of the fake Adobe Flash Player update initialized by the Bad Rabbit. So the Bad Rabbit only makes itself known to the victim after a system reboot, when the victim's computer will display the following image. So if the victim already has this image on its screen, it is most likely that all the data has already been encrypted. So the Bad Rabbit has a few methods of infection, such as dumping SMB credentials from the local host, testing the host 139 and 145 ports for write access, and also attempt registry access control to Windows service functions. And after gaining access, the Bad Rabbit has two scheduled tasks that are created to ensure the execution of the encryption of data. So these are mainly the vital tasks that are executed to ensure that the victim's data are encrypted. And finally, the ransom is requested after a system reboot. So the screenshot is an example of the ransom that is requested by the attacker in the form of Bitcoin. So there are a few steps that we can take to mitigate this ransomware. First of all is to never install or update software from third parties besides from the source itself. Keep operating systems up to date and regularly backing up important and vulnerable data, and also never pay the ransom once the data has been encrypted. So that's all for Bad Rabbit, and thank you.
Local ransomware first emerged in 2016 and spread quickly throughout many regions of the world. One of the first major attacks targeted a hospital in LA, forcing them to hand over a $17,000 ransom payment. Loki is currently being distributed via email that contains a Word document, an invoice asking the user to remit payment as of 2016. When the document is opened, the text will be scrambled and the document will display a message stating that you should enable the macros if the text is unreadable. Once a victim enables the macros will download an executable from a remote server and execute it. This executable is the Loki ransomware that when started will begin to encrypt the files on your computer, renames those files, and changes their extension to .loki. It will launch a notepad and changes the wallpaper which displays the instructions on how to pay to unlock those files. Payment must be done using Bitcoin in an Onion website through the Tor browser. This is the Loki Decryptor website. During the video is made, 0.5 Bitcoin translates to 117,344 ringgit Malaysia. Together we can prevent the Loki ransomware from infecting our computer by regularly backup important files and do not download unverified attachments received by email.
Hi, my name is Azleen Binti Zulkiflee, and I'll be presenting real ransomware. Real ransomware, the method used is a common malware attacks where the delivery method is spam emails, or known as mail spam. These emails are often sent from a spoofed address so that the sender name will not be shown and the sender name will not raise any suspicion. A typical real attacks begin when a user opens a weaponized Microsoft Office document where it's attached to the phishing email. Opening this document causes a malicious macro to execute a PowerShell command that attempts to download the banking Trojan emotet. This Trojan has the ability to download additional malware onto an infected machine that retrieves and executes threat boot, of which the main payload is spyware. This will cause it to collect admin's credentials, thus allowing attackers to move literal to critical assets connected to the network. This attack chain concludes when the attackers execute rogue on each of these assets. So, when the network has been breached, the attackers decide whether they think it's worth the effort to further explore and infiltrate the network, and if they have enough leverage to demand a large sum, then they will deploy the real ransomware.
The reason why the blackmail incident is so terrible is that it is not like a general attack. The initiator is only interested in gaining access to data or obtaining resources. The blackmailer could demand both data and money. This blackmailing is why victims were defrauded. of money in many extortion incidents but did not get their data back. Therefore, we must take preventive measures to prevent this behavior. The most basic action to avoid ransomware is to install antivirus software on the device to detect and prevent the installation of malicious software. Try to stay away from unfamiliar websites to avoid installing viruses and implementing virus software without knowing it. The types of ransomware are far more than the above. There will be more and more ransomware in the future. We need to learn more about them before we know how to prevent and deal with them.